Welcome to the chip market, the place to be if you want to invest smarter in the world of semiconductors. Today, we're digging into Meta's massive, and I mean massive, bet on a small chip startup called Rivos. This move could be their secret weapon to get a handle on their absolutely astronomical AI spending. So let's break down what this really means for Meta and for you as an investor. First, to get why they're doing this, you have to appreciate the scale we're talking about. Just look at this number. Meta has guided its capital spending for 2025 to somewhere between $66 and $72 billion. And you can bet that almost every single penny of that is going towards building out their AI infrastructure. So you gotta ask, right? Where on earth is all that money going? And maybe more importantly, what is the long-term plan here to stop these costs from just blowing a hole through their budget? Okay, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll look at the big AI compute problem Meta has. Then, we'll see exactly how Rivos fits in as their big in-house solution. After that, we'll connect the dots to their overall roadmap and strategy. Then we'll get real about the huge risks involved. And finally, we'll lay out the possible outcomes for investors and the key things you need to watch. All right, first up, let's really understand the corner Meta has painted itself into. If you want to be a king in the world of AI, you need a mind-boggling amount of compute power, and that power comes with a price tag that just keeps going up. And the heart of that cost is what the industry has nicknamed the Nvidia tax. We're talking about flagship GPUs that can cost more than $25,000 each. And get this, analysts estimate Nvidia is pulling in gross margins around 80% on that hardware. So companies like Meta are paying an enormous premium for the chips that are the lifeblood of their AI strategy. It's a massive, continuous drain on their profits. This leaves them with a classic buy versus build problem. On one hand, you can just buy from Nvidia. It's fast, you get the best performance on the market, no question. But you're paying those crazy high margins. You have very little control over the technology, and you're completely at the mercy of their supply chain. The other path? Build it yourself. Now, that means a ton of upfront cost and a huge risk that you might fail. But the prize, if you succeed, is total control. Chips that are perfectly optimized for your software and a much, much lower cost in the long run. And this is exactly where Rivos comes into the picture. The acquisition of this startup is Meta planting its flag firmly in the build camp. It's their strategic bet on creating a more sustainable financial future for their AI ambitions. So what's so special about Rivos? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is that their designs are based on RISC-V. The game-changing advantage here is that RISC-V is an open-source architecture. Think of it like this. Instead of paying a company like ARM huge licensing fees for the basic chip blueprints, RISC-V is free for anyone to use and modify. This gives Meta complete freedom to design a custom processor from the ground up, tailored perfectly for their own AI models. So when Meta bought Rivos, what do they actually get? Well, it's way more than just a chip design. They got a full-stack team with a ready-made solution. That includes an integrated design that combines a CPU and a custom AI accelerator, a unified memory system, which is critical for these new enormous AI models, and a software-first approach. Now, that last part is so important. They're trying to make their chips easy to program, which is a direct shot at NVIDIA's biggest advantage, its CUDA software ecosystem. Rivos is essentially plugging a massive GPU-shaped hole in Meta's custom chip efforts. Okay, so how does this actually play out in Meta's financial plans and their overall roadmap? It's definitely not as simple as just flipping a switch from Nvidia to Rivos overnight. And this is a really key point. This is not about replacing Nvidia anytime soon. Meta is playing a very pragmatic two-pronged game, a buy and build strategy. They are going to continue to buy GPUs at a staggering scale. Just look at their recent $14.2 billion deal with CoreWeave for more NVIDIA cloud capacity. At the exact same time, they're starting the long process to build their own future with Rivos. And believe me, this is a long-term play. Right now, today, Meta is almost totally dependent on outside suppliers. If everything goes perfectly, we might see their first finished chip design, that's called a tape-out, sometime in 2025. But getting those chips manufactured and actually deployed at scale in their data centers, you're realistically looking at a 2026 to 2028 window for that to happen. This is a marathon for sure, not a sprint. And that, of course, brings us to the elephant in the room, the risks. Buying a startup that hasn't even shipped a product yet to go build some of the most complicated technology on the planet, well, that's an incredibly high-stakes wager. And the list of risks is long. You've got technical risk. Rivos' designs are totally unproven at meta scale. You've got talent risk. Can they actually keep the key engineers they just paid for? There's legal risk, thanks to a settled lawsuit from Apple. There's integration risk, making this new team work with their existing chip projects. And even if they do everything else right, they still have to fight for manufacturing capacity at foundries like TSMC. Let's be honest, Meta's track record with big hardware projects is mixed. These are all very real concerns. So, with the stakes this high and the risks so clear, how should we, as investors, be thinking about this? Let's break down the potential outcomes and the specific signals you should be watching for. You can really frame the future in three distinct scenarios. The bull case, the absolute home run, is they nail the execution, and by 2028, this adds 3 to 5 full percentage points to Meta's gross margins. That is a game changer. The base case, and probably the more realistic one, is they get it working and see a more modest 1 to 2% margin improvement. And then you have the bear case. The project fails, the R&D money is wasted, and they're right back where they started, still writing massive checks to Nvidia. So what should you be watching? Here's your 5-point checklist. Number 1. Look for news of a successful chip tape-out next year, in 2025. That's the first major hurdle. 2. Performance benchmarks. How did these chips actually perform against the latest from Nvidia or AMD? 3. Deployment scale. What percentage of Meta's AI is actually running on these new chips? 4. Listen very carefully to their earnings calls. Are they talking about lower costs or better unit economics? And 5. Talent retention. Are the key engineers from Rivos sticking around for the long haul? When it's all said and done, this whole thing really comes down to one critical question. Meta is pouring billions into this project to control its own destiny. The question for investors is, will this incredibly ambitious bet finally be the thing that bends their massive AI cost curve down, or will the execution challenges prove so great that it ends up breaking it? We're not going to know the answer for a few years, but you can be sure we'll be tracking it every step of the way right here. Thanks for watching. If you found this analysis useful, please hit that like button, share it with someone, and of course, subscribe to The Chip Market for more insights into the world of chips.